Hey, my name is Matthew Barasch, and I'm here today for another episode of Barasch Talk, which I've been doing for about 20 years, and this is a really important episode today. Today I have my guest, Josh Brown.
Hey, how's it going?
Josh Brown is in from Fort Worth, Texas, and he's actually moved to LA recently, and he's here to tell us about a very important issue facing thousands and thousands of Americans today. Josh, first tell us what it is, and then why don't you show them the 7-minute video about it.
Of course, it's called Organized Stalking, and I can actually pull the video up right now.
It's really worth us actually showing you this video because there's no way to really grasp it. Send it around.
Network of criminals in the community stalk and harass innocent, law-abiding and defenseless individuals, typically for years, with the goal of destroying their lives. What is organized stalking? Organized stalking is a method of covert harassment perpetrated by a large group of people against a single individual. The lengthy process begins when the group selects a target. Once the selection is made, a campaign of character assassination begins with the intention of verbally destroying the individual's reputation, career, family, and community standing. Simultaneously, he or she is placed under legal surveillance, and is ordered private information gained when the illegal electronic monitoring is distributed. Isolating the target renders him or her defenseless and compilation. Then groups of paid and unpaid stalkers begin a 24/7 harassment operation. The paid stalkers are full and part-time. They infiltrate every aspect of the target's life. The unpaid stalkers are usually neighbors, even family members of the victim. A successful smear campaign, you would think they are doing a good deed. Harassment techniques are many. A common one is to sensitize the target to ordinary discordant sounds like pumping and car alarms, and then harass him with those sounds continuously and indefinitely. Targeted individuals, TIs. Targets are ordinary people who, for the most part, don't know why they were selected. Once the target has been selected, the group will commit significant resources to destroying the target. The harassment can go on for decades. They're not foreign terrorists or anti-government extremists. The network can consist of your next-door neighbor to any member of society, meaning that you would never ever suspect a hard-rig criminal intent. They are so well integrated and influential in the community that my best guess is that they are a converted form of a community watch group policing with subterfuge and poisonous means. They are slowly and surreptitiously destroying our social, economic, and political fabric of the state and reconfiguring it in accordance with their criminal behavior. Whoever the organizers are, they are well-financed, highly sophisticated, unscrupulous, deceptive, relentless, and merciless. They have cult-like attributes. They are also tech-savvy and capable of invading every inch of your privacy and destroying every minute of your day. Their specialty, however, is to inflict emotional harm by using subtle yet effective psychological torture techniques with sadistic accuracy. Their intention is to murder their target without getting their hands dirty. It's the perfect hate crime. Frank Raphael, current resident of Pine Grove, New Jersey, and formerly of Verona, New Jersey, where it started. The highly illegal surveillance component of organized stalking. The first component allows those who operate the stalking apparatus to accumulate information about the selected targets as listed in the databases associated with the apparatus. The information is analyzed and scanned for any elements that may potentially be useful within the framework of the personal destruction campaigns waged by the operators of the apparatus. The effect of the surveillance is multiplied by many times via the use of GPS tracking units secreted under the target's primary means of transportation. These tracking units prove invaluable to the operators of the apparatus in terms of providing for the accurate direction of harassment activities. Centralized database store. The information, often manipulated, modified, and appended without right fabrication, is subsequently cataloged within the system's databases through the surveillance. A vast quantity of detail is accumulated about each individual target, especially as it concerns the patterns of the selected target's daily life and activities. This prodigious quantity of information lends itself to making the additional fabrications associated with the individual readily believable by consumers of the information, simply because so much else seems to be known. Dispatch component. This is the component that provides for the operators most of the damage inflicted upon selected targets, primarily using telecommunications devices, cell phones, and automobile navigation units. The conspiracy to harass is automated by computerized linkages between the databases described above and the cell phone and autonet unit network. The communications linkages are made automatically and directed to those program members who carry harassment network nodes, cell, net units, etc., but only to those who are proximate to the selected target. The computerized communications linkages are made automatically to the proximate program members, those closest to the target, thanks to the GPS tracking of the target, as described in the surveillance component. This automatic direction of communications to specific telecommunications nodes/devices facilitates the swarming of targets, as has been often described by same and contemporary accounts of gang stalking. Information which has been tailored to the situation of the targeted individual and has been designed to provide for the ongoing emotional, financial, and psychological destruction of select targets is automatically dispensed from the database system in the form of a screen theater harassment script. Analysis. The operators of the apparatus use a deflection mechanism to diffuse the responsibility for slander committed by known carriers, simply by employing a large group of antagonists to effect the death of 1,000 small cause scenario. Many harassment laws are based upon the repeated harassments of a single individual. By using a conspiracy of many, the coordinators responsibility for actions. Legal remedy. The purveyors of this injustice do indeed affect a dilution of responsibility for individual node carriers. However, they do not deflect responsibility from themselves. Since the major enabler for all stalking network activities is the telecommunications system, the perpetrators are theoretically possibly exposed to discovery by natural routing and traffic logging features of the communications channels that they are using. Several of the book's laws may be applicable at the arraignment of these criminal lawbreakers as follows. U.S. Criminal Code 4722-3A1C, repeatedly initiating communications with a communications device solely to harass an individual or individuals. Typical sentence in recent cases 3 years. It is incarceration. U.S. Criminal Code 1825-11, interception of electronics communications, application surveillance. U.S. Criminal Code 1825-11.c, disclosure of intercepted communications, application surveillance, database storage, Stratagems. U.S. Criminal Code 1810-38-5A1, redirection of website, application general harassment defamation activities. The aforementioned codes are generic, but are specific circumstances amplified by a conspiracy clause. The resultant case law is known as conspiracy to harass using a telecommunications device. Search engine results under those terms. The operators in the stalking apparatus are initiating communications to communications devices for the sole purpose of engaging in the harassment of individuals. They are doing this on a vast scale to many unfortunate victims due to the large scale of their operations, as opposed to the acts of the individual node carriers. The operators in the stalking apparatus surveillance, database, and dispatch have neither organized themselves to prosecutions, nor have they deflected responsibility for their actions. In our pursuit of justice, communications is key. The communications system that they use is the underlying enabler for most of their nefarious activities. Fortunately for us, it is, with proper constitutionally valid investigation, traceable. And stalking is a rich name. Describing what has become a part of traditional and organized crime that is networking through the United States and some other countries. Organized crime groups and criminal elements from all walks of life use or hire for vague criminal organized gang stalking crews to attack targets to cover up financial or other crimes. These criminals contract with a covert organized gang stalking attack crews to silence any potential witness or troublemaker, whether real or imagined, that could possibly affect their lives. Contract attack squad to discredit and silence using the criminal gaslighting methods. These organized criminal crews attack victims, friends, family, neighbors, and many people in the community. There is always a reason someone is targeted, and most will know why it started it, but apparently, some victims never know what happened to them, why it is happening, or who triggered the overwhelming attack. This is probably because the trigger event was irrelevant and meant nothing to the victim, but was perceived as possibly damaging by the criminals involved. The victim could upset somebody, and now that person simply wants revenge. A very lucrative enterprise. This is a very lucrative criminal enterprise for many of the perpetrators. People consider it important to the success of it and are offered large bribes to become the perp and start working the victim. Advanced communications such as the internet, cell phones, and voice over internet protocol have accelerated the expansion and networking of these organized criminal groups. Their day-to-day stalking and harassment activities depend on these same technologies plus highly illegal GPS and other high-tech devices, electronic spy and harassment equipment, and the use of satellites, what is known as remote neural monitoring. These criminal stalking and harassment groups go to extreme lengths to cover every aspect of their highly illegal covert operations. They try to have a plausible explanation for everything. The crimes they commit are well-planned and easy to do, but easily deniable.
Okay. Josh, I apologize to our viewers because I wasn't, you just got into town today and I wasn't even going to have you as a guest, so we weren't really able to, it would have been great for people to get to see a close-up of that, but I think if they listen carefully, they'll get a great deal of information that is needed. Yeah. I wasn't going to volunteer this information when I first was going to interview tonight, but I think it's important that I do. I, too, am also a gang stalk victim, and I went on the Beckerfield show to try and find some help and relief from what's going on. Yeah. And of course you know that I didn't find any assistance from him. Yeah. That's how me and you met. You contacted me and saw me on Dr. Phil, and now you're my roommate. So I'm really glad you moved here to Los Angeles. And now the rest of the show is going to really be about your story, not mine. I just want people in West Hollywood to know that if by any chance you use drugs and you think you're delusional in any way whatsoever, you're probably not. This is really, I've already met 10 personal friends of mine that this is happening to, not drug users. You've met a few of them earlier today.
Actually, a lot of the targeted individuals do not use drugs.
Most of them.
Most of them are, a lot of them are older women. Some of them are whistleblowers for corporations and government. And a lot of them, they don't know why this is happening to them.
How many people in the United States or the world do you think this is happening to right now in your best estimate, based on your experiences being on Facebook?
About 300 to 400,000 people.
Right. Now, that seems to be consistent with the fact that the Discovery Channel interviewed me to be on a reality television series about people like me, like you, who I should actually introduce you to producers, are being gang stalked. It's terrorizing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really terrorizing. They've destroyed my life. I had a home. I had everything I could possibly, want. I mean, my life was going in the right direction, and since this has happened, I don't have a whole lot anymore.
Can you tell me when it started when did you first realize this was happening to you? And also, when did you start realizing that this was more of an organized effort?
It started back in the summer of 2012. My ex-girlfriend was the one who actually conspired against me. She started acting really funny, kind of really fishy. She started talking to me in like weird metaphors, double meanings. She would put me in situations that I was unaware of, really compromising situations, basically to entrap me. Also coercion. My cell phone was tapped. I had a black Silverado parked outside of my apartment 10 to 15 times, right outside of my window.
Right.
My neighbors were conspiring against me as well with her. Whenever we actually dropped her off at work one day, we went about 5-10 miles down the road, and that same black Silverado pulled up to the house that my neighbors went to, that they brought me to. So that was actually, that confirmed that they were a part of it.
What has all this done to your life, as far as how has it affected your family?
In the very beginning, my family really didn't understand it. I was explaining. I went a year without knowing that it was actually called organized stalking, and I was telling my family, I'm having weird occurrences in my home with my electronics. My ex-girlfriend was completely plotting and conspiring.
Give us an example right there. What kind of, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but give me an example of some of the weird things that happened to your technology, your phone.
My phone was they owned my phone. They could mirror my phone. They could implant false evidence on my phone. They were
create a false history of where you've actually been to, mirror different sites, like kind of like identity theft. You think you're checking into your bank account, and you really, could be checking into any possible illegal site there is without you even having any knowledge of it, right?
Yeah, they can actually, they can mirror your cell phone and the camera from the front of your phone while you're doing something completely different. They can access different websites in order to make you look bad, and then record you from that camera on the front of your phone.
Right.
My neighbors would tap on the walls at very specific times just to kind of annoy me, just kind of harassment.
Right.
And then it was basically months and months of conditioning.
So this isn't really like a person hiding behind a bush spying on you. This is covert, but also very out in the open. It's meant for you to know they're stalking you, but for no one else around you to know, right?
Exactly.
So can you expand on that?
Yes, so basically what they do is they use a formula called
I've never had anyone just say exactly what I wanted them to expand. That's funny.
So basically they use something called NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming. So for instance, say you walk outside, right, and you go in your car and somebody walks by and they're clicking a pen and they're looking at you kind of weird. You're like, you shrug it off. You go to the store, grocery store, you're buying groceries. You come out to your car, and you got a lady pushing her cart, and she's looking almost runs into you, and she's clicking a pin. You're like, wow, that had to have been a coincidence.
So that's just like how dogs like your condition?
Yeah. So now you're on your way home, right? It's in order to make you look bad, and then record you from that camera on the front of your phone.
Right.
My neighbors would tap on the walls at very specific times just to kind of annoy me, just kind of harassment.
Right.
And then it was basically months and months of conditioning.
So this isn't really like a person hiding behind a bush spying on you. This is covert, but also very out in the open. It's meant for you to know they're stalking you, but for no one else around you to know, right?
Exactly.
So can you expand on that?
Yes, so basically what they do is they use a formula called NLP.
I've never had anyone just say exactly what I wanted them to expand. That's funny. Go ahead.
So basically they use something called NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming. So for instance, say you walk outside, right, and you go into your car and somebody walks by and they're clicking a pen and they're looking at you kind of weird. You know, you're like, you know, okay. You shrug it off. You go to the store, grocery store. You're buying groceries. You come out to your car, and you got a lady pushing a cart, and she's looking at, almost runs into you, and she's clicking a pen. You're like, wow, that had to have been a coincidence.
Right. It's almost like Pavlov's dogs, like you're conditioned.
Yeah. So now you're on your way home, right? You're stopped at a stoplight, and you got a guy holding his arm out of the car, clicking a pen. Now you've just been sensitized to that
Right.
pen.
So to the average person, they're not going to really think when they see one person clicking a pen that means anything. It'll make you look crazy. You'll say to your mother, "Hey, that guy's clicking a pen," but you're the only person that knows. You saw two other people that day clicking a pen at you, right?
Exactly. So basically, it's an everyday stimulate that they use on you. It could be anywhere from, in the very beginning, they condition you to a protocol. They try to say you're guilty of something.
Now, a lot of people are going to, I hate to interrupt you, but I
Yeah.
know we have a limited amount of time, and I want to make sure you get everything out you want to say.
Yeah.
A lot of people are going to say why, and a lot of people are going to say who. Those are really difficult questions, right?
Yeah, those are very difficult questions.
Because the different...
There's different organizations that are a part of it. So it's kind of, and since it is a covert operation, it's hard to pinpoint who's actually doing the targeting.
It's kind of like a vicious circle because you don't know what the end game is. It's difficult to prove or pinpoint, so therefore people say it's not happening, but it is.
Exactly. The perpetrators know that it's happening, and so that's why I took up activism, because if I can inform my perpetrators, they know what's going on, but they're told lies and disinformation, and whenever you present them with the correct information, they realize what they're doing is wrong.
Right.
It's a smear campaign. They tell lies on you, and they pay people money for
So
their services.
for an example of creating a smear campaign, like for me personally, everyone in West Hollywood and Los Angeles that have known me for 20 years, I have thousands of friends. Okay, everybody likes me.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I don't have one single friend in my apartment building for the last 3 years. No one will talk to me. Nor have I had one single friend living in my house in Florida for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone in the world is my friend. Everyone likes me. But yet no one on my street likes me or will talk to me. And explain to them why that might be. What did they do to my neighbors to make them think this?
Well, what they do is in the beginning, they start with the bugging of the target's home. So basically, they want to profile the target. So they set up audio-video surveillance in your home. They get somebody to conspire against you, and then they build a protocol on you. The protocol is what's going to be used to harass you. They also sensitize you to the protocol that they create for you. So it's not just like you're being followed and stalked. You got people setting you up, entrapping you, coercing you, manufacturing false evidence, and then sensitizing you to the false evidence that they manufactured, and then you get harassed about it.
Right. Now, like another example of possible, sometimes they can effectively stalk you by just claiming you're stalked. For instance, you'll have a friend come over to your house and say, "Hey, I was just followed there." So they're getting double mileage out of that because
Exactly, because this will let you know that you're being followed.
So they're getting a lot for their dollar.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Okay. So
and they'll do harassment skits. It's called directed conversation. They'll random strangers out in public. They'll walk by you or kind of linger around you, and they'll act like they're talking on their cell phones, and they'll mention stuff that only pertains to your situation.
Right.
And it happens on a day-to-day basis. I mean, not just once or twice a day, but 15, 20 times a day.
Right.
And it's nerve-wracking not being able to just walk down the street or just to be able to carry on with your life. If you get a job, they recruit people into the workplace. They try to mob you out of the workplace, and it's all based off of lies and deception. I got something I want to read.
Okay, please.
On your cell phone. They can explain it a little bit more, and then I can also give some references to the viewers,
Okay.
that they may be able to look up and find more information.
Yeah, one of the most important objectives we have here today is to inform people, number one, that don't know they're being gang stalked. They just feel like something weird's going on.
Yeah.
Let them know that there's a lot of support groups. They can go on Facebook. Just look up gang stalking. There's thousands of organizations. Freedom Covert Harassment
Freedom
right
from
now.
Covert Harassment and
Right.
Surveillance. That's
And
one.
it's important for people to have information. The other, I think one of the other objectives you have for being here today is the people that are actually being retained by the stalkers to assist in the covert operations should know the kind of what they're really doing. A lot of people don't even know they're part of it, do they?
Well, they're told lies and disinformation about the target. They use humiliating, degrading themes to make the stalkers actually believe what they're doing is beneficial to society.
For instance, an example of
But
this would be...
since everything's compartmentalized, they don't know what happened in order for them to basically set you up.
Right. For an example,
So-
it could be like my neighbors being told by a police officer, which is exactly what happened, that I'm under surveillance because I'm a drug dealer, which I'm not. And then now my neighbors are watching me, thinking I'm a drug dealer, forming, very disfavorable opinions of me.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I know this firsthand is because when I was under surveillance in Florida, the police officer named Gonzo, I saw him on my street all the time with surveillance cars, and I said to him, "Why are you on my street? Why am I under surveillance?" He goes, "You're not. Your neighbor is." But that was really covert because they were able to actually be
To
on
make you believe that it was the neighbor.
while they could still survey me.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to read this off of this website. It's organized stalking is a form of terrorism used against an individual in a miraculous attempt to reduce the quality of a person's life so they will have a nervous breakdown, become incarcerated, institutionalized, experience constant mental, emotional, or physical pain, become homeless, and or commit suicide. This is done using well-orchestrated accusations, lies, rumors, bogus investigations, setups, framings, intimidation, overt or covert threats, vandalism, theft, sabotage, torture, humiliation, emotional terror, and general harassment. It is a ganging up by members of the community who follow an organizer and participate in a systematic terrorizing of an individual.
Very interesting. Now, if people want to get help, like, is there a way to contact you in any way whatsoever? What would you like them to know?
Yeah, you can actually contact me at josh.a.brown90@gmail.com, and that is josh.a.brown90@gmail.com.
Okay, so we were talking earlier about your family. Like, how does your parents or your mother feel about, like, what has happened to you? What's been the metamorphosis and the whole, how has that happened? Like,
Well, basically, I was stalked for a year before finding out that there was an actual term for it. I thought I was all alone, and I came across a year later that it was called organized stalking. You can actually Google organized stalking as well. And
I just
every
want to
single
say,
and
there's
every
5 million, if you Google organized stalking or gang
Yeah.
stalking, 5 million different websites will pop up.
Yeah,
5
exactly.
million.
Yeah. This is happening on a large scale, and it's not just America. It's basically all NATO countries. So in the very beginning, I was, I informed my family about all the tactics that were used against me, and then a year later, I find out that it's called organized stalking, and every single tactic on the websites, of organized stalking is what I was experiencing.
Right.
And then I find out that I'm not alone,
Right.
and that there's hundreds of thousands of other people experiencing the same thing.
Now, me personally, again, this show wasn't supposed to be about me, but I feel like I need to interject. I've had some very dangerous cases in my life. I've had a case with the mafia. I've had a case with, I'm not going to say all the different names, some very dangerous organizations where I've been threatened. I went on Dr. Phil for answers. I believe that I was one person in this entire country that was being individually stalked by one of the people that I have had some very serious cases about.
Mm-hmm.
Not until the show aired did I get, that's how we met, and every single day I get 5 to 10 phone calls from people all around the world. I mean, recently I've introduced you to someone from Morocco, who are here in LA, and just friends of mine who didn't realize they were going through the exact same thing. So it's a very serious subject. Now, there's very little time left. I do want to get out a couple things I think you want to talk about. What's the connection between the NSA and Snowden?
Well, basically, Snowden leaked information about the NSA monitoring all all internet data, phone calls, text messages, basically mass surveillance of all civilians. So that kind of, gives us credibility, with the mass surveillance that's going on. There's also InfoGuard and fusion centers, which are civilian spy networks, which correspond with the FBI to gain intelligence for counterterrorism. And so these are also facilities that could be used as vehicles in the stalking.
So local police, separate through watch groups, etc., and people are trained
neighborhood
in
watch
fusions.
groups, InfoGuard, Fusion, even Department of Defense contractors. And I do want to say the person who set me up, her name is Samantha K. Ree Willis, and I will expose you.
Very interesting. That's how serious this is. That it makes us not even care about these people who have caused such great danger in your life and health, right?
And her grandfather retired from Lockheed Martin. I just wanted to say that.
Okay.
And because that's where, she was protected by these people, and she was the one who basically set me up. And her grandfather retired from Lockheed Martin.
Right. Now, a lot of the setups, a lot of people don't realize how the lengths they will go. A lot of this happened during sexual play, correct? Like in role play to you?
Yeah, she would basically coerce me into role playing and then record me on the phone, and then they use that against me to harass me.
And that's exactly what happened to me as well. It's really hard to enjoy yourself when you're being, I've been shot up into the internet and against my will, against my knowledge. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Right.
It's all entrapment.
Right. So talk a little bit more about the NS. You were telling me earlier about the FBI. What is the group that happened in the 60s? Can you explain about that?
Yeah, there was actually a program that is identical to organized stalking. It's called COINTELPRO, declassified government documents. You can go to Google, type in COINTELPRO, and it'll pull up all the information. And you can also go to Google and you can type in organized stalking, or you can go to YouTube and type in organized stalking as well.
And tell us more about COINTELPRO is. I mean, you haven't told me what it is.
COINTELPRO is an acronym for the counterintelligence program conducted by the FBI. And basically they employed the same exact tactics that organized stalking employ.
Talk more about, elaborate a little bit more, because I
Well,
know that you don't shut
well,
up about this normally. So
well, back in the 60s, they would target mainly people in the Black Panther Party, revolutionists, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, political dissidents, whistleblowers, activists, different things like that. But now we're on a larger scale of what they're doing. It's much more than just political or activism. They're doing this to whistleblowers. We're blowing the whistle on corporate, government corruption.
Okay, so let me ask you this. We have 1 minute left.
Yep.
Why you?
Why me?
And I know that's the most difficult issue. The reason I'm putting you on the spot with that is because it's obvious we don't know why, but I'm going to ask you, what is your opinion? What did you do that's causing the government or whoever it is to do this to you?
My ex-girlfriend's grandfather retired from Lockheed Martin. I believe that she's trying to use me as a scapegoat, basically to ensure if she did something wrong, then it would come back on me.
I want to just cut in right there and let you know that a lot of, even to me, and I'm saying this right out there, even to me, that sounds ridiculous. And it's the fact that this sounds ridiculous is how they're able to get other people not to believe that this is really taking place. So I want to thank you for being here as my guest today, man. You're amazing.
Thank you for having me.
And I'm really glad you're in LA with me right now, and we're going to get to the bottom of this.
Of course.
Okay? Of course. Okay. So, anyway, it's a pleasure having you here, brother.
You too.
We just have to pretend we're talking right now. Well, maybe they're hearing that right now, but this is show business, right?
Yep.
So,
We're out.
cool.
Awesome.
That was a pretty good show.
How'd we do?
You shut up a few times when you actually got the stage right there.